Alright, g'day guys. Now we all know how boring unboxing videos are. However, this has just arrived and this is a $150, I think it was 150 bucks, maybe $160, secondhand 130 Skywatcher 130 PDS. So basically a guy was selling this. I saw it sat there on one of the forums down here in Australia and I was like, oh my god, like 160 bucks and nobody's snapping it up. Now, I don't really need this telescope, but I was pretty sad seeing it just sat there and nobody buying it. And I thought, I had one of these years ago. I had the 150 version of this, and I ended up letting that go at the time. And I really thought, you know what, I'm going to give this another go. And interestingly, this little 130, I'll start to open this up. This little 130, guys, is interestingly very similar focal length to the 6-inch GSO Newtonian I've got. So it might be interesting, you know, when you consider this telescope. This telescope retails at about 600 Australian dollars, maybe about 250 English pounds. So yeah, to get it for 160 bucks, and then I had to pay postage, of course, seems pretty good. So I thought it might be interesting as well to see how this little telescope, which you could probably, these types of telescopes, especially these days, you can definitely pick them up, yeah? So it'll be very interesting to see how this goes versus the GSO that I have. Oh yeah, there we go. Which is always a relief. Okay. Looks like it's got a lot of its original packaging here. It's such a cool little size as well, this thing, being a 130. It's so easy. It's so easy to handle, this thing. Interesting though how this little 130 f5 PDS is actually a bit longer, I think, than my 6-inch f4, you know, GSO carbon. Basically it's a GSO carbon star. So let's see. Yeah, all looking pretty good down there. So as far as I know, let's have a look. Okay, so I can see that there's done he's done a bit of flocking down the tube. He's used some of that that vinyl flocking to try and obviously help deal with any reflections and stuff. I can see at the back there, I can see a little bit of light coming through at the back there, which is just kind of a common issue with these things. So, you know, maybe eventually I might look at a little mirror mask for it or something like that. But yeah, overall looking pretty cool. Yeah, so looks like he's installed some little knobs on the front here to help with collimation. Not sure how much they really help, to be honest. And yeah, the actual condition of the thing looks pretty decent. Now it's still got the crappy, it's got this little crappy this crappy ring here on the end, which is obviously not fantastic, because it's just got these, there's no brass compression ring. So I might see if I might just have a look around and see. I have a feeling I've got, but I don't know if I've got one that's going to fit that you know, if that's a standard thread, I might have something that'll fit in there anyway. So look, it is what it is, and that's what we've got. So looking pretty good. We've got the standard little rail there. It's obviously going to need a rail on top if I want to mount something up here, and if I want to mount a guide scope. It has got a little fan. I think I've already showed you there. Look, he's already installed a nice little it's a little AMD computer fan there, which is pretty cool. So that's nice to have. That's been installed really neatly, that actually. That's a really neat job. So yeah, like I said, it is what it is. And he's obviously had a go at making a few adjustments to it, but he's moved on. I can see a little bit of the flocking on the inside. Looks like it's just coming away a bit at the front, so we'll see if we leave that on. I mean, it'll be okay for now. But anyway, I think what might be interesting, guys, is just to give this a go pretty much as it is out of the box. I'll give it a quick rough collimation. I might be able to actually, I could probably just use this little mounting thing here for a guide scope. It's got the fan on the back, so I can probably use that for my, like I said, for my power. So what I'll do is I'll, you know, hopefully if we get some clear skies tonight, which is actually quite possible, I might push this should still work for this telescope, so I might stick this, I've got this, the big coma corrector here, the Sharp Star coma corrector for this, which should work. I don't see why this shouldn't just work in here. So this is basically just come straight out of my GSO. So yeah, let's, this is obviously an APS-C size sensor as well, so it's going to show up it'll show up any problems, being a fairly big sensor. I'm not expecting like star performance again like I do out of my GSO, but I know these scopes, if you do give them a little bit of TLC, can be great little performers. And look, at the end of the day, for this kind of money, especially considering it's a similar focal length to my GSO, there is a potential that if I wanted to, I could have two going at once and collect twice as much data. But anyway, we'll see. I think this is 650mm, my GSO is 620, something like that. So yeah, we'll chuck it out. I just wanted to show this, guys, how ironic, right? I've taken this off, had a look what I've got. I've had this sat in a box for I don't know how long. I bought this a while ago, second hand. It was one of these Barda click locks, which I have on my Celestron C925, and it turned out that the GSO telescope that I've got would not accept this, so I've kept it anyway. However, because this one is threaded here where I need it, and this one obviously comes off, turns out this fits. So that is a massive stroke of luck, guys. I mean, that is super lucky. So now it means that I've got this super cool locking mechanism on this, which is really secure, and then should take this no problem. I mean, what I mean to say is it just gives you that extra reassurance that this is not going to fall out halfway through the night. All right, another update, guys. So just as I'd finished congratulating myself on the fact that this Barda click lock worked, I found out that this focuser here, there was definitely something wrong with it. So as soon as I put this on, the focuser would not hold at all. Like, I know these have a bit of slip in them, but it had a lot. It was just moving straight away and then it would not move back. So anyway, I quickly took the focuser off, and I realized that there was definitely something wrong in here. It had not been put on properly. There was a screw here missing, and that meant that there's a piece inside here, like a bush that's pushing on the rod that goes through the focuser, that was not square. So, and all these screws were loose as well. So there was definitely some issues. So we'll see how we track with the rest of this, with the rest of the focuser here. But I've decided what I would do while I'm here. I've robbed my EAF off my Celestron, which I'm using for visual at the moment, my C925 anyway. So I'm gonna chuck this on because at least it's gonna mean focusing tonight, or whenever it's clear is going to be easier. So that's my next job, and then we can finally get it outside and see how it goes. So look, we've had one little hurdle, but of course that was always going to happen, wasn't it? So you know, like I said, for $150 I ain't going to complain about little things like this. So all right, let's carry on. All right, after a little bit of faffing, guys, EAF looks like it's working all right now. I've got the tensioner inside here right for that focuser now, so it's holding the focuser okay, and the EAF looks like it's working. So the only trouble is now the scope's going to be very front heavy. So anyway, I'm going to get it on tonight and we're going to give it its first go no matter what, even though I can already see there's a couple of things that like that focuser doesn't look quite level there, so I'm not sure what's happening there. But anyway, that's enough. That's enough for one day. We'll get it out and yeah, we'll give it a go, eh? All right, g'day guys. So here we are. Next, well, a couple of days later, actually, managed to get around to processing this data, and basically I managed to get about, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours. It sort of clouded over, but I managed to get about 100 odd exposures. So a few hours worth of data. They were all just 2 minute subs. This is kind of, you know, this is kind of what came out of the stack of data. Now it looks okay at a distance. One thing I noticed though, as soon as you start zooming in, so the first thing I noticed is there's obviously an issue with the way that the focuser is sat at the moment, and I mean the body of the focuser sat onto the telescope. There's a series of push and pull screws, and I can tell I'm just going to reset that to flat, so I can start from a, I can sort of start from a stable, you know, footing, because at the moment I can see there's a lot of vignetting on one side, and I think that might be some sort of, I don't know if that's to do with the focuser or some tilt in the focuser itself, but I'm gonna reset that. The next thing is the stars. So if I zoom in here, see how these stars, how weird they look, and that's not tracking. That's probably something like pinched optics on the primary mirror. So I need to look at the primary mirror clips, take the back out, take the primary mirror out. I'll probably give it a clean at the same time and look at the clips, because they're kind of almost diamondy sort of shape, triangle-y, diamondy shaped. So anyway, so that's what we got. Like I said, not looking too bad from a distance, 2 minute subs. Now, you know, software to the rescue here. So all I did is ran Blur Exterminator over this, and you know, pretty sort of amazing straight away how it sort of sorted those stars out. So if you look now, can you see, look how much better those stars are looking. I mean, it's like, I don't know how Blur Exterminator does this, but it's, you know, it's sorted out all those dodgy stars. So amazing what those Russell Chrome and Exterminator tools can do. So I think this also raises an interesting question these days. How important is the telescope and the optics compared to the camera and the software? And I think because the cameras have come along so far, and because the software now has come along so far, I actually think it's more, you know, in some ways it's actually more the camera and your software processing that sort of can make a big difference. So anyway, that there is looking pretty good. All I've done on this is a color calibration on the image, and I did some stretching, and then I used, you know, Noise Exterminator to just tone down the noise a bit in the image, and Star Exterminator to separate the nebula. So that's just the nebula there separated out from the stars, and then put it all, you know, did a bit of stretching on that, masked off the brighter bit in the middle, did a bit of stretching, and then put it back together. And this is kind of where we ended up. So look, for my next session, I'm gonna do a little bit on the telescope over there and sort out those couple of things. So I'll do a bit of work on it. It's actually kind of interesting in a way to be able to sort of be able to do these things, because being a cheap telescope now, I can afford to play around with it, and I'm not too worried about it really. So I can play around now with the focuser, get that all sorted out, and the primary mirror, and hopefully I can get
I mean, I know Blur Exterminator's doing the job here, but it'll be nice to get the stars looking better than that. So yeah, stay tuned. I think we got a pretty decent result there for our little $150 telescope. Now, like I said, it's paired up with a good camera. You got the old TubeTech IMX571 sensor there, cooled camera, and you've got obviously these cool tools in PixInsight which make a big difference. So yeah, it's interesting there, isn't it? Just how much we can get around those issues with the optics. But yeah, good start there from the 130 PDS, and I think down the line I'm going to do a comparison with the GSO scope that I have as well, which is kind of the same thing as the Apertura Carbon Star, and we'll do a bit of a side by side. Obviously that one's a bit faster, this is f5, that's f4, but still. All right guys, yeah, so thanks a lot for watching. Hope you maybe gave you some ideas there. Maybe you want to look at check out the forums there for a second-hand little Newtonian, because they're obviously you know, these little Newtonians like this are obviously very capable if you give them a bit of TLC and love, and you don't mind a little bit of tinkering there. So yeah, the next video I will try and have a look at those couple of issues we've identified, and yeah, take it from there and see how much better we can get it. So yeah, thanks again, thanks for watching, and clear skies, and I hope you yeah, getting some good images wherever you are. So catch you later.